Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Absolute BSS, the Casualpetitive podcast about Bandai Namco's Battle Spirit Saga. Cam is unfortunately unable to join us today for this podcasting session, but we do have a special guest. My friend Angel is here with us today. Say hello, Angel.
Hey everyone, how's everyone doing today?
Thanks for being with me, Angel. I wanted to bring you on for a couple reasons. One, Cam and I met you at the very first event that we ever went to for Battle Spirit Saga, and basically immediately became friends with you. Although we didn't know we were friends until we ran into you again at our second event that we ever went to.
That's
Um,
right.
and two, you recently went to a grand open, and so I wanted to have you on to have you discuss a little bit of that with us today, so that way we could have a little chat about how it went, because we haven't really gotten to debrief much. So,
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, I appreciate the invite. I know Cam's not here, but definitely you guys having me on. It's definitely an honor, and I'm excited to be here.
thanks, man. Yeah, it's unfortunate that Cam's not here because I feel like I don't know if the podcast is going to be as funny. We have some big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
So, cool. Why don't we start off with introducing yourself and kind of your background in games and kind of,
Sure.
what games you
So
like to play, that kind of thing.
yeah, absolutely. So as everyone, as Eric said, my name's Angel. Obviously, I've been playing card games, God, for as long as I can remember. Those of you guys that listen to Eric's and Cam's for his podcast, I mean, a lot of the games are probably gonna be very similar. When I
Hmm.
was younger, I never really played Pokemon. At least the card game, but I did collect them obviously because they look very cool. But definitely, I would say my main game that I invested in for a very long time since I was in fifth grade would be Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm a huge Yu-Gi-Oh fan, nerd, all about it. I love it to the core. Played Yu-Gi-Oh very competitively for gosh, about 7, 8 years. Until the game got a little out of hand, and
Yeah.
a little toxic. Where
Just a little
just
toxic.
a little bit. I know. Eric and I have talked quite a bit about this when we were out for lunch not too long ago
Yeah.
about just games that you open up your hand and you can't play. If you don't have a response, then you lose. It's not really fun. So, but other than
Yeah.
that, I love Yu-Gi-Oh for what it is. I think it definitely has influenced a lot of other games. I did play Magic when I was in middle school. Never really big into the competitive thing till I got a little bit older. But by that point, I just felt like it was out of my league. A lot of people have been playing it for 20 plus years,
Yeah.
and I was getting my butt kicked all the time. And trying to learn all the terminology that there is in Magic is crazy. But I do play Magic Arena. It's a very good pastime, and I love that game. Other card games for sure. I played Hearthstone, obviously. A big Blizzard game, been playing that for a very long time. Quite a bit of standards, hit legendary a few times. Legends of Runeterra was a very amazing game that kept me very, very busy for a long time.
Oh man, it's
And
too bad that Cam's not here. He loves Legends of Runeterra.
I know. I said I was hoping he could be on because I know you had said that he played that. And Legends of Runeterra transitioned into that game because when I was done with Yu-Gi-Oh, I didn't know what other card game to pick up. Right, I felt like I tried picking up Pokemon. I felt like it was just almost too simple. Wasn't really enjoying it. And then Magic was just too way out there crazy for me, and I didn't want to get back
Yeah.
into Yu-Gi-Oh at all. Um, but Legends of Runeterra was fun. And then currently right now, obviously Battle Spirits is the main thing, and Shadowverse I'm trying to a little bit on the side. So
Yeah.
definitely a huge card game nerd. I played lots of card games. If anything's a card game, I'll at least try it once.
Yeah. I think Cam and I are the same exact way, and I think that's why we clicked with you so well when we first met you, because it was like we kind of have similar backgrounds, like playing Yu-Gi-Oh, trying this, trying that, and then kind of settling on. I mean, it kind of feels to me like trading card games are having this really cool moment right now. Like, there's lots of really good trading card games.
Oh yes, I mean just looking at a lot of the releases, and I started seeing a pattern last year, but this year for sure, I was looking probably about a week ago, just how many new TCGs are being introduced into the West, in the West. Battle
Yeah.
Spirits being one of them. You also have Disney Lorcana is about to come out. Shadowverse just came out. One Piece for sure. That thing blew up, and it's crazy right now. I know last year, Digimon DBC is still a very big part of the community, but it's good to see, because I felt for a little bit there. It was either Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, or Magic.
Yeah.
There's a Force of the Whales and these other Vanguard. Some of those games try to pick up a little bit of steam, but I feel like they just never really topped out. Though Flesh and Blood, I think is doing pretty good still, from what I know. So.
Yeah, Flesh and Blood was one that I was a little bit interested in for a minute, but I never picked up any cards and I never ended up trying it. But everything worked out because I ended up finding Battle Spirits, and now thanks to you and Cam, I think I'm starting to really get into Shadowverse. So
No, yeah, that's awesome. I mean, even like with Battle Spirits, I remember when I met you guys at our local game store. Yeah, I think it was funny too. I think I heard it one of the podcasts you guys were talking about it. I think we all came dressed like we're all black, all wear
yeah,
hats. It's like thought we were gonna
yeah,
rob the place. It's like, but we're all very new to it. We're all excited about it. And I think after that little store release event, I can tell. I mean, hell, you won it. But
yeah.
I think we all felt like, wow, this game is really fun. And I've been following Battle Spirits for a very long time. And it's funny because I caught Battle Spirit on a whim. I was literally on a YouTube video about cars or something like that, and it was
Mhm.
one of the advertisement videos for it. Um, and I was like,
Man,
"What is
your
this
phone was
about?"
definitely
Yeah,
spying on you to know that
yeah,
you would like
yeah.
that.
So, but for a little bit I knew about it, the lore and all that, it looks awesome. And Shadowverse, like I said, I'm glad you guys are getting into that as well. 'Cause I wasn't sure if you guys were gonna like it or not, but it's a very good game. It's very
Oh,
good. So.
I don't know if you've had a chance to listen to our most recent episode yet, where we talk about our Shadowverse experience. If not,
No,
it's
not yet.
okay.
Yeah, no, I need to. I
Um,
need to. Yeah, no, not yet.
I'll just reiterate here again because it's my favorite part about the game. We went to a store tournament. We showed up at 5, signed up by 5:30, and we're home by 8 o'clock.
Wow.
It's the game is so fast, and I really like that actually because we can go to a tournament, spend like 3 hours there, and then go home, and then I don't feel like drained.
Yeah, that is one thing that it's a good point actually because I went to the open release for that a couple of weeks ago, and you're right. I mean, I want to say it was about nine, maybe it was 10 of us, and if we were there for 2 hours, I think that was long. Like it was
Yeah,
pretty quickly. Most games felt like didn't last about 20 minutes, if that, depending how your deck was doing. So that's very true because it does get exhausting sometimes, and we'll talk about it once we talk about the Grand Open. But
oh yeah.
some games, and just talking about Yu-Gi-Oh and even Magic, right? Like it's almost like depending how intense that match is or who you're going against, it becomes from being fun to like, okay, this is mentally exhausting right now because you're like
Yeah,
really looking at every single possible outcome. Where Shadowverse is almost like you pilot it the best you can, right? And just the cards do what the cards are gonna do, and that's it. And it reminds me a lot of Hearthstone, so I think that's why I like
yeah.
it a lot.
Yeah, super fun. I picked up the Nintendo Switch game for Shadowverse. It's like it kind of reminds me. I don't know if you ever played those old like Nintendo DS Yu-Gi-Oh games where you're like,
Absolutely,
those games were
yes.
great. Have you heard of this Switch game for Shadowverse? Do you have a Nintendo
No,
Switch?
I have Nintendo Switch, but I didn't even know they had one
Oh,
for Shadowverse. I've been playing the game on Steam, obviously, for a couple months now.
dude,
So,
check this game out. You play in like this like Shadowverse high school, and everybody has Shadowverse decks, and you like run around the school and challenge people to Shadowverse
oh
battles.
wow. But yeah, I'm definitely have to check that out because that's, I mean,
Yeah,
you said it like back in the day. I mean, even the PSP era, like
yeah,
Yu-Gi-Oh, Tag Force, Dark Duel Stories. I mean, you name it. Any Yu-Gi-Oh game that was on Game Boy, PSP, 3DS, I will buy. So, and I like that. I'm gonna have to check that out. I didn't even know there was such a thing. I
definitely
like
check it
that.
out. Yeah, Cam turned me on to it because he was like, I've been playing the Switch game, and then I talked to him about it, and then I was like, man, I gotta pick that up because that sounds like something I would love, and I do. It's great. I've been playing it, but anyways, yeah, let's move into Grand Open talk. So you went to the Grand Open in Ohio. Um, Tell me about it. I really want to hear about, I guess, everything. However you want to talk about it. Do you want to talk about your deck first, or do you want to just like, I'll just let you
We
kind of go with it. I have your deck pulled up so we can look at it in a
Okay.
sec.
Well, we can just talk about the experience first and how it went, and then we can dive into the deck, I guess, as things went on. If
Sure.
that works.
Yeah.
So yeah, so Grand Open Ohio. So I was very excited for it, right? So I didn't get a chance to go to the actual launch event in Vegas when this game came out because it was just a tight window by the time I found out about it. And then obviously the first grand open, I want to say it was about a month right after that. It was in California, and it's just a little pricey, especially
Yeah.
with me not having a real deck yet. I didn't even have booster boxes, so I didn't even know what was gonna go to play. So I was like, let me just save my money. See what the game is go to a couple local stores. So I definitely, when I saw that it was going to be in Ohio, I signed up. Obviously, it was not bad of a drive, and I knew it was going to be a huge, huge event, and it turned out to be. I want to say altogether was about 410 people that registered for that event, which was huge.
Yeah.
The only thing I will say, it's funny because nobody knew about it from the Battle Spirits players least, but Bandai decided to have a One Piece tournament as well at the same time in that same
Oh
building. So there
no.
was probably over 1,000 people,
Oh
including
man.
some of the guests or whatnot. And to make matters
Yeah.
worse, the building had a broken AC, so it was hot. I'm talking about hot sweat fest. There's always
Yeah.
memes around about how trading gun players smell. That's really what that was
Oh,
there.
so you just
So,
had like this pressure cooker full of hot dog
dude,
farts just ready to
yes.
blow.
Yes, absolutely. So, getting to the event, it was nice. It was at the Ohio Expo Center. I actually thought it was gonna be at the convention center, but it was at the Expo Center. It's a nice little venue. I think it's a little bit older. Getting through the line or whatever was pretty fun. You can tell a lot of players were excited. I think out of majority of the people that I played and were there that I talked to was the first grand open. So I think everybody was like, "Oh my god, I'm so excited for this!" It's a really good way to play Battle Spirits because
Yeah.
one thing with Battle Spirits being so new, it's not in every local game store, unfortunately. So it's very hard to play games.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
then
but
and then here you've got 400 people all gathered in the same place ready to play.
absolutely.
That's so exciting.
And it was exciting to be able to, for at least from my perspective, was kind of like, hey, I'm gonna be playing against all kinds of players against all over the world with different types of decks, and I think that's the highlight of any trading card game. I think
Yeah.
sometimes when you have a local community or a game store, you kind of get used to playing the same decks because that's what people kind of drawn to. That you don't really get some of that variety. And I know you and I did some play testing just to be able to get away from that
Yeah.
mode because it's hard, right? You're gonna be unprepared, but anyways, as far back to the event, I mean, it was awesome. Went to the guard. It was hot, like I said, but everybody was super friendly that I got to meet. As far as the spotlight for it, I want to say One Piece kind of took the spotlight. Unfortunately, they had a
Yeah.
TV for all the game matches. Battle Spirits did not. I know they had a streaming on Twitch, but there was a couple issues with the Wi-Fi and whatnot, and it was kind of disappointing. Just kind of knowing that that was a huge event right before the Pro Tour that's about to happen in July, you would think, you're still technically trying to sell this game to a lot of people, right? It's
Yeah.
still very unknown. I would have thought that they would have put a little bit more of a spotlight with TVs and all that, but One Piece took that, so that was a little disappointing to see.
Yeah, One Piece is a Bandai Namco game too, right? Like they're both
Yeah,
Bandai. I
yep.
don't know why you wouldn't treat both of your games equally then. Like,
And that's what I'm saying. At least with One
yeah.
Piece, they have the IP that will sell itself, right? Because everybody
Yeah.
knows One Piece.
I kind
Where
of
Battle
wish
Spirits is not.
I kind of wish I was a little more into One Piece because I would love to play that trading card game, but I just never got into it. So it just isn't as interesting to me as Battle Spirits. But I
And
can
I don't know.
definitely see why someone would want to play it because One Piece is a huge fandom. Like people love that. So
Yeah, and actually, when I was waiting on some of my matches or while they were doing the pairings, I would talk to some of the One Piece players, just 'cause I don't know much about the game. I was like, hey, what is the game like? And it's very similar, right? I noticed Bandai has a pattern where a lot of the games are very similar as far as like you got your colors, they do specific things, yada yada yada. You got your leaders and
yeah,
all that. The one thing that even One Piece players, which is kind of saying that they don't like about the game, it's almost like a power creep, right? You either have this deck and it does well, or you don't have anything that's competitive. So that's kind of, well,
mm,
maybe I won't start it. And they were saying that actually the game can get pretty expensive. So one actually talking about the Grand Open, one thing that was kind of disappointing too. I want to say it was my first match, my first round. Not even like 10 minutes into me playing against my opponent, there was a somebody else walking around saying, "Hey guys, everybody watch your decks. Somebody's out here stealing decks or whatever." So I think
wow,
somebody got their One Piece deck stolen, which is pretty sad to see in the community. People spend
yeah.
their hard-earned money to build a deck, and not to mention traveling costs to get stolen like that. So that was pretty crazy. That's a interesting way to start off the morning at 8 o'clock in the morning. So
Yeah, I mean, honestly, message to everyone out there, don't be an asshole. Like, don't do that.
yeah,
Like,
it's
everyone's just
not
getting
right.
together to play games for fun. Like, I understand some of these cards are worth some money, but like, you know what? Build yourself a really competitive deck and get into the event and win the money. That's the way you do it.
Absolutely, and honestly, I will say this too. There's a lot of people that were playing at both events that just built a deck that they can afford at the time, and they were doing it. You
Yeah,
don't have to have all the special rares like we have in Battle Spears or whatever the alternate versions are in One Piece. I don't know much about the game, but don't take
yeah,
someone's stuff. I know we all watch anime. I know Rare Hunters was the thing in Yu-Gi-Oh, but let's not do that in real life. Like
yeah.
let's
I
just get
mean,
together, play.
if you steal somebody's deck and maybe they have a couple, maybe their deck's worth like $200 or $300, like that's $200 or $300 for you. What if that $200 or $300 deck was like, that person is not going to play this game ever again now? Like, that
Hmm.
was, they just got some really lucky pulls in their booster packs and built this deck. They were excited to be there, and now you did this to them, and they're never going to touch this game again. And yeah, that's just horrible. But I'm glad that your deck didn't get stolen, or at least I assume it didn't. You didn't mention
No,
that.
no, it did not. As soon as they said that, one tip of advice I would give people that haven't been to huge events like this, Yu-Gi-Oh was kind of very similar to some of the regionals I went to in YCS.
Yeah,
Guys, I know a lot of us have our backpacks and all that. Keep that under the table right between your feet. That's what I
yep,
always do. I always sip it up. Don't trust. You're gonna meet some great people. Like I said, I met Eric and Cam at one of these local events, but don't just leave your backpacks there. And it's first time. Oh, trust them because you never know who they're with. It could be their friends. So it's just always
yeah,
keep them underneath your. Or if you have, if you go with your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is there with you, have them hold it because that's the best tip of advice I can give everybody. Keep it under the table, and that's what I did. If I went to the bathroom, I would take it with me. I would not leave
yeah.
that thing sitting anywhere. So
That's fantastic advice. Yeah, if I'm even in my local game store, I still try to take out just what I need. I zip up my backpack. I put it underneath my feet so I can feel it at all times. And then, yeah, if I need to go to the bathroom or something, I put everything away. I know it's a pain in the ass, but like, I put everything away and I take it with me because, yeah, the easiest way to avoid having your stuff stolen is just don't even give somebody the opportunity to do it.
absolutely. And another thing too that I've noticed a lot, if you guys are given, because somebody was asking me about my deck profile and they were talking to me, always just be aware of your surroundings, right? Either like Eric just said, sip up the rest of the stuff you don't need because as you're talking about your cards or showing off your deck, you are distracted. You're trying to give that person your full attention.
Yeah,
Somebody behind you can snipe it, someone on the side, or maybe they're doing it on purpose, right? Maybe they're just trying to distract you. So just always be aware of your surroundings, guys. I know we're all trying to be the best person we can be in the local game community, but unfortunately things like this happen. And it was kind of sad that the first day of the event at 8 o'clock, not even 20 minutes into the event actually going, somebody got their deck stolen. So whoever that person is, if you're listening, sorry you get the deck got stolen.
yeah, yeah. Shout out to you. That sucks. But um, so it was hot.
Yes.
There were thieves surrounding you at every turn.
Yes. It
uh,
was it was crazy.
how how was how was your first match? Like, how did it go? Do you want to talk about the deck before we talk about that, or?
Yeah, so yeah, let's go into the deck that way at
Yeah,
least. So I went in, I'm a huge dark slash anything evil kind of player, and I've been like that in any of the games I've mentioned before, Hearthstone. I
yeah.
prioritize Warlock,
Are
in
you playing
Magic.
Abyss? Are you playing Abysscraft in?
Yes, I am.
Yeah,
So I started off with Dragoncraft, and I like Dragoncraft. But when you guys were talking about Abysscraft, and I played some of that because on the Steam game I was playing I forget what it's called, like Vengeance. I forget what it's called, but the thing's called basically like vampires and stuff. I'm definitely
Bloodcraft.
Bloodcraft. That's what it
Yeah,
was. I know they changed it for the West, but yeah, I was playing Bloodcraft. So yeah, anything dark, I am playing Abysscraft for Shadowverse. So
nice.
absolutely. So with that being said, I went playing purple deck. As far I didn't really go with anything crazy for the name. I just called it like Purple Control. I think is what I went with because I felt that's
Yeah,
what it was.
the one that you sent me
Um,
is named unnamed deck. So that's
on name deck. That's even better.
yeah,
It was like Purple Control. I think so. I think
yeah,
we had to name it for the event.
yeah,
It was pretty standard. Basically core of purple. You run your Camelot Knights. Obviously, the all-star of the deck is Beldegor. You need Beldegor, at least 4 copies of that. If you're playing
Yeah.
purple without him, unless you can't afford them for whatever reason, and I had the SPRs, but you can get the regular one for pretty cheap. You
Yeah, I
guys need
think
to play Beldegor.
the SBR is like 20, but I think the regular is like a buck 50. So,
Yeah, like that is the card.
but Beldegor is a 3 cost 1 reduction, purple spirit, level 1 for 1 core 2k, level 2 for 3 cores 4k, and it has this really cool ability that I believe he's the only dude in the first set that has this, although we have some more in the second set. But he has this ability called Immortal, and so if a spirit that costs 4 or 5 is destroyed, you can summon him from your trash during either attack step. And whenever he's summoned, he basically is like a burning force on a stick, kind of like he can select one of your opponent's exhausted spirits that cost 4 or fewer and destroy it. So it does have to be exhausted, but 4 or fewer cost is like a pretty, that hits a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it really does. And and we'll talk about this card. We'll talk about my matches later on. But I
Yeah.
will say this, guys, this card won me a game, and it was the game I needed to win. So definitely, I would just say this: you have to play. At least if you're still playing set one, set two might change a couple things, but I still see him being a very, very good card. So,
I play
um,
Beldegor in some of my I like non-purple decks. Like I'll splash him into a white deck sometimes. Like
yeah, I mean, he's just a good surprise card, and honestly, he's not that expensive even in other colors. He's only
yeah,
a 3 cost without the reduction, and with the effect you get, and it's timeless. You can use it over and over again as long as
yep,
you're playing 4 or 5 spirits. So
yeah,
it's very good.
solid card.
Apart from that, like I say, typically, I played the Dark Knights of Agavel, the Dragonaga Assassin, I will say this is another huge crucial card that I think you should play in purple. Not to mention the cost, right? But as far as the curse ability, it's very easy to have. But really, what you need on this is the draw power. Those of you guys that have played purple, purple struggles with drawing sometimes until you can get into your depths and all that. So to have this early on, I ran 4 copies of them. He is huge and came in very clutch with that ability to draw while attacking. So, and honestly, your opponent decides, right? Either I'm going to destroy my spirit because I have curse, or I'm just going to let you draw off it, or you're going to waste one of the resources trying to get rid of it, so you
Yeah,
don't draw anymore. So,
yep, super solid card. Yeah, it looks like a lot of your spirits actually are kind of in that draw a card space. You've got Dark Knight Aglavale, who, when he's destroyed, if he has a Soul Core on him, you draw a card. You have Dragonaga Assassin, who, if he has the Soul Core on him and he attacks at level 3, you draw a card. And then you have Darklance Cavalier, which, man, this card fucking rocks. You just
dude, yeah, so cheap.
whenever you summon it, you draw a card. So
Yeah. But if you have that many creature or spirits on field, it's really just a 2 cost spirit, so it's super convenient.
yeah. Um, Talk a
Go
little
ahead.
bit about Axe Spider because that's
Yeah, so
some.
that's a little color splash I put in there, and I think a lot of builds are sort of running him right now. Funny thing about Axe Spider, I think I pulled him on my first, at least one copy of him on my
Mhm.
first store tournament that we did. It was like the $5 tournament, and I pulled him out. Oh yeah, cool. Like nobody talked about like it was nothing. It was like the useless card. Nobody cared about it, and all of a sudden it like
Oh man,
skyrocketed all over the place. Like Axe Spider was the talk, and it's been the talk. And
yeah,
honestly, I think Axe Spider will still be the talk in set two with the white support, but that on a different subject. But so yeah, I play Axe Spider. Obviously for a lot of reasons. Axe Spider is a huge delay for your opponent if you're struggling. I know
yeah,
playing against Eric a few times, it came in handy.
yeah. It shuts. Well, it has armor purple yellow, so it can't be selected by the effects of your opponent's spirits, nexuses, or magic that are either purple or yellow. And then at level 2 for 3 cores, uh, it or if you put a soul core on a nexus, it's and or so like both of those things can be active, like itself, and if you put a soul core on one of your nexuses, cannot be destroyed by your opponent's destruction effects or as the result of battle, and they can't have their cores removed. So the defensive capabilities of this card are insane.
Oh, absolutely. Especially, right now the meta's really, and you have your rogue decks out there, but really when you're playing against, Gigano, high level aggro decks,
Yeah,
you have this blocking ability. You mixed it in, with suppression. I in my build I played the Nexus Infinity Mothership, which only played a one of, but that's all you really need because it is expensive in purple. But when you saw it with the Axe Spider combo,
Yeah.
man, it came in handy. And Eric, I don't know if you want to read what the card does,
Yeah,
but
it's a
it's really good.
Infinity Mothership is a 5 cost 2 reduction white nexus, level 1 for 0 cores, level 2 for 2 cores. At both levels during opponent's attack step, at the start of the step, place all cores from your trash into your reserve. So basically you get to use all your flash during your opponent's attack step. And then at level 2, this is where Axebiter and the mothership become best friends. If you control a mecha spirit, which Axebiter is, you gain 2 cores during your core step instead of 1. So the ramp on that is very nice. You don't have any other mechas, right? It's just Axebiter.
Yep, it's just the Axe Spider. Yep. So, and
Yeah.
honestly, I thought about running other mechas, but I thought, with Axe Spider, with the Soul Core protection that it can give Infinity Mothership, and having that armor of purple and yellow, it's. I figured most people are not going to be able to target. They're going to target one or the other, right? You're either going to try to destroy my Axe Spider, or you're going to try to get rid of the Mothership so I don't ramp up. But that really, the ramp came in handy, because I play, your usual Curse of Dragons, so you must run in purple if you're running that build. Your Bishops, more expensive. So the ramping is good, but really where Mothership, and you kind of nailed it, came in handy is at the beginning of your opponent's attack step, being able to refresh all those cores, so good, for lots of reasons. The
Yeah.
flashes, your deadly balances, definitely your Belgors, right? They're in the graveyard and you need more cores to be able to actually play them. That's really what helped me a lot in
Oh.
my matches was
I
that
did
because Belgor doesn't come for free. You still have to pay cores to have enough cores to have in the field. And I noticed a lot of people that were running the build without that would have to sack one of their own spirits just to be able to play Belgor. But at that point, you're trading one for one, so
yeah.
that's a good thing. What I liked about it.
I didn't even think about the fact that Infinity Mothership gives you the cores for Beldegor. That's really cool.
Hmm.
In fact, I think that's something to consider for any. I mean, there's lots of new Immortal cards in the new set, so that's definitely something to consider as we move into set 2 if you want to play Immortal. Um,
Yeah.
so you mentioned suppression. Suppression works really well with Axe Spider. 4 cost 2 reduction, white magic, main flash. Select one spirit. It gains 3,000 BP during this turn. If you spent a soul core as part of the cost, that spirit can block while exhausted for the remainder of the turn. So that comboing with Axe Spider's like indestructibility means you can just infinitely block everything if you have the two of them. But I do have a question for you, just based on what I've seen so far, and I'm wondering if you observed this as you were playing your matches. Did you find that you were strained for the Soul Core? Because you've got quite a few cards that reference it. Camelot Knight needs it for Curse. Dark Knight Aglaville needs it for when destroyed to draw a card. Dragon Naga Assassin needs it to draw a card. The Axe Biter, if you want to protect your Nexus, you have to put it there, and then Suppression needs it for the infinite block. So how did that work out with the Soul Core? Did you find that you had it when you needed it, or did you
Oh
find that it
yeah.
was tough?
So that's actually a very good question. Certain matches, honestly, yes, right. So almost most of my matches where that happened, it was very like I had to think out what my strategy was gonna be because that's the one thing about this game I think that I love where the mechanics are pretty simple per se, right? You got your
Yeah,
cores, you got your resource, that's what you use, that's your mana per se. But where
yeah,
the game gets extremely where I would say skill based in your decision making is for the soul core because you only get one. And this is a prime example of what Eric's asking, right? You have all these cards that get an extra amazing ability if you have the soul core, but then you're at the point now where you have to decide what do I need to use it for the best. So
yeah,
I would say with my build, I didn't struggle as much because, for example, I'm not really running a big, even though a lot of my spirits, some of them say curse, I'm not running that traditional curse build where I want everybody to have curse. So
yeah. You're
like
not
the
running like
Camelot Knight,
Maduke and stuff, right?
exactly.
So
Like
yeah,
Camelot Knight is a free drop. Really, I used him more for cost reduction, just to have a spirit to block. I will have the core on him, so when I need him. But then I just kept moving up. So once I had enough cores, then I would remove the core to play it on the assassin because I needed draw power. If I didn't have the assassin and I need that draw power, then obviously I would move it to the Aglavale. Once Axe Spider came on, the Soul Core didn't really matter until I had Mothership, so it allowed me to
yeah,
be free with it. But by that point, I had either enough resources or I had enough cards in my hand for my draw ability that I could move that core around. Like for example, for Earth Spider, right? If I'm playing yellow or something against red that usually only put one core in their spirits, then I would move it to the Earth Spider. So I want to say maybe 1 or 2 matches I might have like, oh god, like what do I do with my soul core? But
Yeah.
ideally, I just kind of looked at what a scenario was. Like, if I had a crappy hand because I got greedy and I did mulligan, which happened quite often because I'm so bad about mulligan because I'm like, I need this. I can get out. I always think I'm the best. Like, I'm going to get out of this somehow. And I usually don't.
Yeah, I do the
So,
same thing. It's fine.
but, very good question, though. But yeah, for at least for me personally, at least with the build and what I was trying to get, because the end goal for me was trying to get as many cores as possible, draw into my cards as fast as I can before they can start popping things off like my Netherworlds and all that to be able to do the
Yeah.
Bishop Curse Dragon combo, and then from there I should have at least an established board big enough, or if I did enough push damage with Axe Spider, because they're gonna have to block them. You can't get destroyed in battle, so either gonna block and destroy a spirit, or you're gonna take some life. So by that point in that game, I should be far. At least that's the idea, right? Should be far long enough ahead that the Soul Core didn't matter as much.
Yeah, so I guess what I was thinking in my head is like, oh man, this is going to be some difficult decisions. It sounds like you just came at the problem a little bit of a different way. You came at the problem with a different mindset. Instead of thinking like, oh no, there's so many things that need my soul core, you're just like, all right, what is the one thing that needs the soul core this turn?
Yep. It's
So,
exactly it. So, and
makes sense.
honestly, I would say of all the games I played, which I want to say we did, what it was 9 rounds of Swiss. Most of the slow core was used for drawing ability. That's really what I used it
Yeah.
for. I want to say it was maybe one match, if I remember correctly, that I kept it on the mothership because I think it was a mirror match. I was trying to ramp a lot faster because I think I was like, whoever gets to the Cursor Dragon first and
Yeah.
Bishop combo, it's gonna win. So that's the one time I kind of kept the soul core on that most of the game. But
Yeah.
for the most part, like I said, I didn't struggle very much on that.
So, do you want to talk about the Curse Dragon Bishop combo? Just, I think most people are pretty familiar with that combo at this point, but just in case people are
Yeah.
not.
So absolutely. So the Bishop Curse Dragon combo, at least in the community and even at the event, amongst like purple players, it's either a hate it or love it combo, right? Because it,
Yeah.
it it really is just a one trick pony. It's very simple. Your Bishop, he's a 6 cost card. Um, when summon, remove all but one core from each of or spirits and place them into the owner's reserve. And then at that point, you only would play Bishop if you're about to play Curse of Dragon. There were some matches where people play Bishop, and I'm like, oh crap, here comes Curse of Dragon, and then nothing happens, and I'm
Yeah.
like, why did you do that? Because
You
I'm just gonna put my cores right back on
bit
when it went. Like,
Bishop, if you're playing Bishop, you have to follow it up with something. You're
yep,
either you're either playing the Cursed Dragon or you're playing like Dark Knight Mordred to kill something, or or maybe
or
the
Spider,
cores.
yeah,
Yeah,
or Spider
Earth
Demon.
Spider. Yeah, or maybe just lowering that core amount lowers the BP enough that you can swing in and deal some major damage to them.
Yes,
Like you got to do something. You can't just play it and then pass. Like then at that point, like why even play it? Like the stats are not
exactly.
that good.
That's what I was about to say. Honestly, I mean, the car looks amazing and cool. If you watch any anime, you know why. But apart from that, I mean, apart from the combo, the card kind of sucks. Like it
Yeah,
really does. It's very expensive. I mean, for the cost, the level one BP is 4,000, which is garbage. And you got to have 5 cores on it to even be at 9,000. Like the
yeah,
card's not, it's useless. So like I said, guys, if you're playing purple and you're new to the game, make sure you have a follow up. Do not just play it just to play it, unless you need a spirit to block. I mean, I get it. You got different situations, but
yeah.
yeah.
But
So that's why he.
I would consider that a reason to play it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Don't just do it just for like, oh, look what I got. So
Yeah,
then obviously, you got Inferno Curse Dragon, which I call it the apart from Maduke, I would say it's definitely one of the boss monsters for purple. He
yeah,
looks cool, especially in the SPR. But when he's summoned, he's a cost. When summoned, remove one core each from all other spirits and place them into the owner's reserve. Then place a core from that void into the spirit for each spirit destroyed by this effect. And FY, that includes your own spirits. And
yep,
then his level 2 is it's pretty good. I mean, if you need it, but most of the time you're not really using it for that. But it's just select one of your opponent's spirits when he attacks, remove all but one core from it, and place into the reserve. So really, you should use it for when the summon effect. Because that's another good way. One, you're basically resetting the board, right? You're blowing up the board, and
Yeah.
also depending where you're at on cores, you're also ramping on your core. So there was one match where I want to say, no joke, I think I had, my God, I want to say it was like 25 to 30 cores because between Cursed Dragon and the Mothership, I was just ramping so much. There's like, I wish I had more expensive cards to play because I have all these cores. So I just loaded up my spares with a bunch of cores.
Yeah, it's just that's the thing about I've been playing around with the new set. There's a lot of ramp in the new set, and I built a deck that was just like all ramp, and then I was like, wait a minute, but I need something to do with it. Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
like if
Because I
I'm
mean,
gonna ramp, I need
yeah.
to have like a.
Like
It's like we
cores
were
are
just talking
useless.
about. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the
You
cores
need
are
a.
useless. We don't have anything else with it. So
Yeah, you need a. It's like we were just talking about. You need a follow up. You need like a. You need to have a reason, a rhyme to your reason, or a
yeah,
reason to your rhyme. Whatever the saying is, that's what I'm trying to say.
and I would say this. I mean, as much as I hate Bishop, because honestly, apart from that one trick pony effect, you kind of need that combo when you're playing aggro,
Yeah,
yellow. I mean, all those decks, which I'll talk about my matchups, but it's definitely a good combo. Apart from that, the rest is basic stuff. I got the depths, obviously. I recommend running a four of that is your drawing power ability. And
yeah,
honestly, those of you guys that don't know, the level two effect for Netherworlds, if you have three cores on it, it's during your attack step, when one of your spirits is blocked, you may pay one core from this nexus to destroy your opponent's blocking spirit when the battle ends. That actually came in pretty handy on some of my matches because I couldn't get over, so I just kind of forced them where you're either gonna take this life that you can't afford because I think I had one opponent that was down to like two life, and I was like, you're gonna have to block, and this moment, sure enough, he did. Then I activated that and was able to get around the spirit I couldn't get over otherwise.
yeah,
So that's definitely something. It kind of goes unsaid and it's a hidden because nobody really uses for that, but it's really
yeah.
good.
Well, it's expensive because you got to pay 3 to 6 for the Nexus, and then you have to put three more on it to do that.
Hmm.
At least three more. In fact, if you want to do it more than once, you need more than three because you have to remove a core from it to do it. So, but I think that's a good example of something that you could use all those cores from the Curse Dragon on.
Yep. Between the Curse Dragon and the Mothership, if you have at least have it out still protected, it helps you out with that.
Yeah,
One thing I would recommend purple players doing because a few people that I saw playing purple would, and I get it, but I think you're getting too greedy, and a lot of them did it for some reason. Do not play three decks at the same time, guys. You are gonna draw out your deck and you're gonna lose
I did.
because
Oh, I
do
did.
not do that.
I played two depths once in a game against Cam, and he decked me.
Like I said, I mean,
Yeah,
especially, I mean, it's funny it happens, like, especially if you're playing against red or yellow, where they have lots of little spirits and can
yep,
summon like 10 or 12 of them. They're just going to purposely attack to draw you out. And I will say
yeah.
this, guys, in a competition like this, when you go into overtime more than you think you will, because I want to say out of all 9 matches, I went to overtime probably about 6 or 7 of them. I think it was 6 of them.
Wow.
That matters. That matters because for all you guys to know what the tiebreakers are. So the first tiebreaker is who has the most life left, obviously. The
Yeah.
second tiebreaker is who has the most cards in their deck.
Yeah, you and I found this
So
out together.
yeah, so if you don't, if you're out here drawing, being greedy for no reason, unless you need it, if you're just drawing just to draw, it's not good. And red struggles with a lot of this as well with their nexus that draws a lot. And then the weirdest third tiebreaker, which it's kind of surprised me. I get it and I don't get it, and I'm still confused on it. The head judge told us. So the third tiebreaker is whoever has the least amount of cores actually wins. You would think it'd be the opposite, but it's actually who
Oh,
has the least amount of cores wins the game. That blew my mind because in my mind, I'm thinking if I have a deck that's all about ramp, obviously I'm going to have more cores. So, but I guess the head judge kind of explained it, which kind of makes sense. He looked at it, well, if you had that many cores available, you ideally should have won the game, I'm like,
yeah.
well,
I was
I
gonna
can see that side. I
I
can
was
see
gonna
that
say
side.
that that's how I was picturing it in my mind. Is I was like, oh well, this person did more with fewer resources. Like they
Yeah.
managed to like basically tie with you for fewer cores.
Well,
But
that's funny because he said that the whole you could hear the whole room. Like, everybody was like, "What?" Because
yeah,
before the match started, before the event started, they went over all the rules and what the what Bandai says, all that, and everybody as soon as he said, it, everybody was like, "Wait, what?" It's like,
yeah.
yeah,
Well, yeah, you and I found out about the card tiebreaker because we had a game. I've talked about
yeah.
this on the podcast actually. When we played against each other at Store Champs, our game went to time, and then you beat me We went to time. We played out the rest of our turns. We both had 3 cores left in our life, and then you had 35 cards and I had 33. And one of the key determining factors of that game was that you killed my Namengard and made me draw 3 cards. And
Yep.
that
Yep.
was like, oh man, I didn't even realize that would have been bad for me, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Who would thought that plussing 3 cards would eventually like bite you in the ass?
Yeah.
It's like, and
Another.
while we're on,
Oh,
oh,
go
go ahead.
ahead.
No, I would just
Uh,
say while we're on the subject about the deck, one thing I learned at the event, which I did not know, and I think I told Eric and Cam through text, so I was keeping in touch with them, was so you can't do it game one, obviously. Game one is whatever your deck is, which you shouldn't be in overtime anyways. Um,
yeah.
unless you're playing like a white mirror match, you might go into overtime on game one because I know I've seen it happen. But
Yeah.
on game two, when you go to side, it ain't like other traditional games like Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the only one I can think of that you side 1 for 1 or 2 for 2. On this one, you can either side the same thing, right? I take out 2 from my deck, put 2 in, or you don't have to take anything out and put your whole side deck into your deck without having to side anything out. So, which your max side deck is 10 cards. So, a lot of people were doing that, right? If they knew what the
Yeah.
mirror match was doing it, hey, as long as those 10 side cards are really going to be useful to you, they're not going to, give you brick hands. You can have a 60 card deck, and if you go to overtime, be lucky if you did
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah, I mean, if your first match took like 35 minutes or something like that, and then you're like, oh, we're definitely going to game three, or like we might go to overtime even in game two, yeah, you just pad your deck out so that way if it comes down to some weird tiebreaker, you don't lose on a technicality.
But when I just said that, I was like, I had to ask him if wait, you're saying I could put my whole side deck in without having side? He's like, yeah, absolutely. I'm like, okay, not that I need to, because I
Yeah.
think Eric might have it on, but my main deck is 55 cards.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up actually. So yeah, I noticed you're playing 55, and I think maybe a few weeks ago I would have thought that was unusual, but I think I've seen some pretty top performing decks playing some odd numbers of cards. So was tell us a little bit about the 55 cards. Was it that there were things that you felt like you couldn't cut, or was it more you were trying to play for this tiebreaker thing, or what was your thinking?
So it's actually a mixture of things. So going into the Grand Open, I know I did a lot of play testing with Eric, and just looking at the meta and a lot of the other events have been happening, like the online events, the Chile Grand Opening. Red, straight aggro. Apart, purple's out there with the mirror match. I wasn't worried about the mirror match because purple with the mirror match is kind of like who draws the best cards at the right times and
Yeah,
just answer 1 for 1. I
we
was
also
really more worried.
play tested a lot of the mirror match to get you
Yeah,
ready. Yeah,
yeah, and in the mirror match, it's control, right? I love control decks because mirror matches. That's exactly what it is. It's a control. I'm control what you do, and we're
yeah,
just gonna be trading back and forth until somebody can pop off, right? Or
yeah,
one of these spice cards come off, which for me would have been the mothership and the axe biter. And I'll talk about the other two that I have in there and really kind of spice things up against the mirror match. But I was really going preparing my deck to go against red and yellow. Those were my biggest worries that I had for a number of reasons. One, I haven't played very much against those decks because a lot of people, around here where we live, are either playing purple or white or a splash of different things. But two, I was really worried about purple struggles with big wide boards, right? Purple's good at controlling 1 for 1, trading, removing cores here and there. But board wipe, it's very hard if I'm playing against somebody that goes wide. So my idea between going 55 cards in the deck is exactly what you said, right? I didn't really want to cut anything because I felt like everything that I wanted in my main deck, I wanted to be able to be prepared and control whatever deck I'm playing against. And my mindset was like, if I win game one, game two and game three are gonna blast, right? Because I can, even if I lose game two, I'm still ahead. Oh, I was ahead, right? So I can kind
yeah,
of recover, kind of see what I need. But if I'm in game one, that pressure's already off.
yep,
They're gonna be more stressed out of trying to win. Where I'm kind of like, all right, now I see what you got to play. But really,
yep,
like, I also wasn't too worried about the amount of cards I had, just due to the fact that I have a lot of drawing power, right? I have the assassins, I have the lancer, the depths, and the 2 cards I did not want to cut, and I stand up all night. Just like looking at my deck, like, should I take it off? And I think me and Eric had a long conversation after our last play test of like, should I
yeah,
cut it? Should I not cut it? Should I add this? I think I put it on Twitter. I put a picture of those of you guys that watch Yu-Gi-Oh! There's an episode where Yami's just looking at the he's preparing for a tournament and he has like 5 or 6 different decks on his table and looking at him intensely. That's what I felt like. Like,
Yeah.
what should I take out? But I didn't want to take out Feral Slash and Dream
Yeah.
Bomb. So you want to talk about Feral Slash, why I played it, or you want to read what it does, and then I'll talk about
Yeah,
why I
I'll
thought
read
I
it
wanted to
out
play
really
it.
quick. I didn't know that you even had this in there until you sent your deck over, because I don't think this was in there when we were playtesting.
No, this was a last minute what they call Yami decision.
It was a Yami decision.
Yeah.
My girlfriend has this phrase that she uses whenever, especially for at restaurants, where she calls things game time decisions. So she'll be like, I think I want the taquitos, but I also kind of want the burrito. And then she'll be like, it's going to be a game time decision. So then, like, the waiter comes over and then he's like, all right, what do you guys want? And then she's like, burrito.
That's awesome.
You
like
got to make
that.
the game time decision. And that's what this card was for you, it sounds like. So Feral Slash, 4 cost, 2 reduction, red magic. So there's no reduction going on for this, right? You don't have any way to reduce it. So you're always paying 4.
Yep.
So always 4 cost for you. It's a burst that triggers when you lose life. Select one of your opponent's spirits with 3,000 or fewer BP and destroy it. You may then pay this card's cost to activate its main effect. The main effect is select one of your opponent's nexuses that cost 4 or fewer and destroy it. So a little bit of some Burning Force type abilities there going off, but it's a burst. So yeah, talk about this a little bit.
So Feral Slash, it's funny. This card, I think we got this card. I wanted the promo. I think it was the launch event that you and I went. I think it came up on the whatever the store gives you.
Yeah,
And
it's
I had it in my
the
binder.
core set.
The course, yeah, and I
Yeah.
had it, and I was going through my binder before the event, before I drove out to Ohio, and I read it, and I was like, holy crap! And I went back and looked. Here's the main reasons why I played this card. Well, 2 reasons. First one, it's a burst, right? So it's free. It doesn't really cost me anything as far as mentioning about the cost reduction. So it allows me to destroy another spirit if once again if purple struggles with white boards, I at least can pop 1 or 2 things that are lower, depending on where the DPS. If I'm playing against yellow or red, just kind of reduce the Pterosaurus they have on field while I get my stuff going if I don't have any spirits. But the biggest one why I played it, where it's kind of technically in a way free for me as well, is if I pop a creature, it's the Nexus removal. Those of you guys that play against yellow or play yellow, you got Phantasmal Paradise. It's a 4 cost Nexus. That's really annoying. I hate it. What it does, if you don't know, it's a 4 cost. It says during your main step, when you summon a Fabled Beast Spirit, you may exhaust this Nexus to draw a card. And then the second ability is just all your Fabled Beasts get 1,000 BP. But that drawing, I can't tell you how much drawing power that gives yellow. So I definitely want counter against that. And the other annoying Nexus that yellow has is Blessed Cathedral, another 4-cost Nexus,
Blessed
which is
Cathedral.
during your either attack step, place a core from the void into your reserve. When one of your yellow spirits is destroyed, and then at level 2, during either attack step, draw a card when one of your yellow spirits is destroyed. So it's another ramp and draw. So Feral Slash answers that, right? So that's the one thing I wanted to be prepared against going into this grand opening, was against yellow and red. And same thing for red, right? So in red, you have Volcanic Canyon. It's a 4-cost Nexus. Those of you guys probably already know what it does. During your draw step, you can draw 1 additional card. After you draw, discard a card from your hand, and then at level 2, which it's only costs 1 core, all your spirits gain 1,000 battle points. And then you have the other Nexus they have, which is the Scorch Battlefield, another 4-cost Nexus. All of your red spirits gain 1,000, and during your attack step, draw a card when you reduce your opponent's life at level 2. So Feral Slash caught a lot of people off guard. I will say that, right? Especially in the main. I think if people were playing it, because I don't really recall seeing anybody that I played against playing it, but if they did, it's probably on the side. I decided to main it for those 2 reasons, right? I want to take care, because yellow and red struggle without those nexuses a little bit, and if you can take care of those early on, I'm golden, right? And for a build that I want to call control, that's what I'm doing, right? And as far as the cost, people always expensive. It is, but by the time I need to play that card, ideally I should either have my Infinity Mothership out, or I'll always purposely go down to 3 life just to get those extra cores and ramp up a little bit quicker. And going second obviously helps out with that. So
nice. Yeah, I am now envisioning a scenario where with Feral Slash, this is like the dream. You go first. You lay down a Feral Slash in your burst zone and you pass the turn. They go second. They have 5 cores. They play a 3 cost. You're playing against yellow. They play a 3 cost Nexus and a 2 cost Spirit and swing in. You flip
Mm-hmm.
this card over and you just blow up their board.
Yep.
And then you start your next turn with 6 cores because they just helped you ramp. So I think, yeah, this card's really good. I honestly have not really looked at it since I got it out of the core set, so I should really check this out.
Yeah,
Think
I
about
think like I
this.
say this is a very good card, at least right now. Looking at the next set, where some of the nexus is on the next set, and I say that now, right? It's too early, but just theory building and talking about it.
Yeah,
They're not as strong as set one nexuses, and I think Eric, Cam, and I have talked about this on our texts. Where like I feel like the set one was kind of like, oh my god, we gave him really good nexuses. Let's kind of tone down the power on set two, because
yeah,
set one, if you look a lot of for each color, ideally, white, can use a little bit better nexuses from set one, but they have pretty good nexuses. I mean, yellow and red, especially with the draw ability and the ramp ability. This is why I wanted to play Feral Slash. Like I said, the whole mindset was, let me take game one. If I take game one, I can worry about if I don't need this card, I'll side it out. Game two,
yeah.
based on what I'm playing against.
I'm assuming against in the mirror match you side this out because this does
Oh,
nothing to
yeah,
Netherworld depths.
absolutely.
So
Yeah, and that's the one thing. If you're playing a mirror match, you could say, well, now you have 2 cards that don't do anything for you. But keep in mind, I'm also playing 55 cards in my deck. So ideally, if you were playing a normal deck, you wouldn't even have that many cards in your deck to begin with.
yeah,
So that's why kind of just like it's there if I need it. If I don't, whatever. I can use it for like core drain or something like that, or core death later on. Because I have core death on my side. But yeah, I would definitely side that out against a mirror match. And then the other main card that I played was Stream Bomb. Between the Infinity Mothership, if it's still on board, and the Axe Biter, especially if I have two, or at least, I mean, I would never have three, but if I had two out, but even at one, it reduces my cost of Dream Bomb. But Dream Bomb is an amazing card. It costs
yep.
5, but it's a burst card. So when you
It
lose
does
life,
it fulfills a very similar role to the Feral Slash.
absolutely, yep.
It does not kill the things, so it's not it's not as effective at removing the threat. But if in the mirror match, this takes care of Netherworld depths at least for a little bit.
And that's really what I wanted to do with this deck, is control their nexuses. Because I mean, at this point now, if you look at battle spirits, most of the decks out there, most of your deck really needs those nexuses to survive.
Yeah,
Purple included, right? If you draw like crap and you don't have any of your spirits to help you draw for whatever reason, I mean, let's just say you open up with like two Netherworlds and whatever, like a Cursed Dragon and let's just say a Burning Force. That's a crappy hand, and by the time you can play Netherworld, you might be too far gone. So controlling their nexuses and what they're able to do with them, it really did help me out. So I would say definitely Feral Slash is a little spice card. I mean, not everybody would play it, but Dream Bomb for sure, at least at the moment. It's just such a good card, especially against cards that um, you know, for example, X Biter. Let's just say you are playing a mirror match and somebody has an X Biter. Dream Bomb deck for now, gives you at least a little
yeah,
breathing room.
yeah. It gets it out of the way.
Yeah.
Which
They say, I'll be back next turn, but at least
yeah.
for that turn,
Well,
it might be something you need.
that might be all you need though, because maybe your opponent's at 2 health, they have 2 cores left, and you just need those last couple attacks to land, and they have this axe biter, and you're worried they're gonna suppression. Bam, dream bomb. Okay, maybe that changes up the math a little bit. Maybe you can swing in. Maybe you can get it. So
Yeah. And honestly, like, I mean, Maduke, right? I mean, you're playing a mirror match, you dream bomb that Maduke. Now
yep,
the spirits don't have the blood curse that you have to worry about so much.
yep, yep. Especially if you do that in kind of the middle of them doing their big move, you can really throw them off balance.
Absolutely. Like, and I'll say this, like Feral Slash talking about, I mean, if you look at purple, if you're playing against an aggro purple deck, I mean, most of the spirits are 3,000 or under. So you really can control, when I was talking about in the mirror matches about who has that first little opening, that's sometimes all it takes is, you lose a life, like Eric has said, you ramp up with that core, and now you destroy one of the spirits, and it kind of gives you a little bit more of a edge on hand. So
Yeah. I actually, I say more often than not, I'm pretty happy to lose a couple of life at the start of the game.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, my at least with purple, I haven't really played around with other decks as much to say that, but at least with purple, the max I will always go down to is three. And ideally, I should have at least an absolute ice shield by turn three,
Yeah,
based on probabilities and all that. So I'd feel very comfortable with that. But I would say three because you need that ramp to start off with, and especially with a deck like this, where if you look at my cost, it's pretty expensive, right? I mean, apart from the few three cost cards, everything's four, five, five, eight, five, six. So it is
yeah.
expensive. So going down to three, hoping that you get that, those the Dragonaga or the Dark Lancers to draw more. But really, what you're looking for here is to get that Axe Biter out to at least stall for a little bit, or that Mothership to help with the ramping. And then once you got enough cores on there, honestly, you're good. You should be at a good spot.
Yeah, makes sense. And um, yeah, I totally agree about that with the three life. I think people need to, and I've noticed this with Magic players as well. When people start playing Magic, people are afraid to take any damage to their life, and so sometimes like people will like if I'm talking about Magic, people will make really dumb blocks. They'll block things
Hmm.
they don't need to block, like just take the damage. Like
Yeah.
in Magic, at least now their creature is tapped and can't block, and now you can swing in or you can do something to it. And it's kind of the same thing in Battle Spirits. It has that same tempo. I am totally fine. I agree. Going down to four, I don't really care. Going down to three, I might try to prevent that if I have a good way to. Otherwise, it's fine. But yeah, once I'm at three, I'm like, okay, now I need to seriously defend my life because I am one Derm Dyna away from just death. So
And you made a really good point, and I realized that in a lot of games that I play, I talked about Yu-Gi-Oh, where you have which those you guys that play Yu-Gi-Oh now, light points don't matter. It's just
yeah,
like you can have 1,200,000 light, it don't matter. It's about what combo you have. But back
yeah,
in the day, you have 8,000 light points, and you can go down to 50 light points and still win.
yeah,
Hearthstone's another game, on light points. Magic, like you said, you're right. When I play Magic Arena, I'll attack even if my creature has trample or whatever. People will still block, and I'm like,
yeah,
you have 20 life, and I think
yeah,
at least with Magic, a little bit I play, so please don't shoot me down. I'm not an expert, but you can get life pretty good depending what deck you're playing, right? You can always get your life back in Magic pretty easily.
yeah. You also don't even
So
really need to. It's like you
yeah,
said, like you can still
yeah.
win. Your life could be one, and you can win.
I mean, I remember. I wish I remember. It was a red deck. That's all I remember. But it was one of the creatures. But I remember winning a Magic Arena game with only one life left.
Yeah,
So it's doable. The only thing I would say with Battle Spirits where it gets a little bit tricky, at least currently, was two things, right? Battle Spirits life is also your resource, which I love, good and bad, right? Because you
yeah,
kind of depend on it. You only have five life, which, oh cool, it's not that, no, it's five life is nothing. And right
yeah,
now, apart from blessed on yellow, you don't have a lot of ways to get your life back. So it's kind of like, if you're gonna take that damage, it needs to be, you have to, make sure you have a strategy behind it, or that your hand is gonna be able to respond. Don't just be taking hits for no reason, because if
yeah.
you don't have anything in your hand, you're just hurting yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's just like we talked about Baculus earlier. It's just about making like calculated decisions. So if you're gonna take damage to your life, and it's a choice whether or not you take that damage, make sure that you're making that choice with as an informed decision. You're not just like, I'll take it or I won't take it. Like, I don't know, it doesn't matter. You need to think about like, okay, if I take this damage, that gives me one extra core. Then my next turn during my core step, I get one more, and now I have this many, and I can play this eight cost card from my hand. Like that's how you want to be thinking about it. You don't want to be thinking about it like, oh, it doesn't matter. Like you want to be like, do I block this? If I don't block this, like if I take the damage, does this actually help me? Um,
Exactly. I mean, and like I said, it goes back to like if you're playing casually, whatever, right? But I would remove myself from those pattern guys because at events like the grand opening, or let's just say you go to a pro tour, or whatever, like
yeah,
all those decisions matter. Not even just for the game. Like you always gotta keep in mind, if I go to overtime, that's the first thing. That's the first tiebreaker. It's
yeah,
life. So if you're
yep,
purposely taking life for whatever reason and you don't have anything to respond or to do damage, you're really just hurting yourself. And it kind of goes back to what Eric was talking about, that one match we had where you never thought that drawing 3 cards was going to hurt him in the end. You're
Yeah.
taking that damage early on for whatever reason because either you didn't keep track of time, so you're on game 3 and you thought you
Yep.
had whatever 10 minutes and it's really only 2 minutes, and now you just took 2 life because thinking you're gonna go off. Well, guess what?
Yep.
Now you can't, and now you just lost because you purposely took life for no reason. So just be very careful
Yep.
with that.
Yep, yep. Be aware of if you're going to play at a high level event. Be aware of all of the factors that could influence your win. And also for life, I did want to. I have Absolute Ice Shield up on the screen. I think everyone knows what this card does at this point, but it's important to. So we were talking about like different levels of life that you're comfortable at. So obviously, I'm comfortable at 5. Still comfortable at 4, pretty comfortable at 3, but starting to protect myself. Once I hit 2, though, that's where the decisions start to happen, because if you go down to 1, you can no longer Absolute Ice Shield, because if you're at 1 and then they drop you to 0, you just instantly lose. You don't get a chance to return the life, the core to your life. So
Yes.
you have
Yes.
to, like, 2. Once you're down to 1, you're making Hail Mary plays. Like
Yeah, and
you're
I'll say this, guys. If you got onto 1, keep this card in your hand. Just use it for the flash effect. Like,
yeah.
it does no good burst.
Talk about that really quick, because that's a fun little trick that you've done against me, and I've talked to Cam about it, and it's really changed our minds about how to play Absolute Ice Shield. Because
Yeah.
I think more often than not, you probably want it in the burst, but I think there are some really cool ways to play this as a flash out of your hand.
Yeah, so I mean, kind of like I mean, it's number of ways you can go about it. Obviously, if you only have 1 life left, this is absolutely useless instead of ice shield as far as the burst card goes. So don't play it, guys. It's just wasting a burst spot for no reason, and if it's just a
Yeah.
waste. So don't do it.
Yeah.
But really, like I said, the flash, like a lot of people I think just are so used to like thinking about this card for the life gain, or not even a life gain, because you're really just kind of going back to where you were at to begin with.
Yeah.
That they forget that if you keep this in your hand, this ends the battle after that attack step. So just because you have 1 life, as long as you have a couple spares, or depending what the board state looks like, and you can at least block that attack, that current attack step that's happening,
Yep.
it ends it, and you basically technically gain your life, right? You have 1 more turn to kind of get yourself out of a sticky situation. So, and also too, like, it's a good bluff card, right? A lot of times I don't, if I have 5 or 4 life or whatever, or if I have like something else on my burst, like a dream bomb or something, a lot of people think that it's absolute ice shield. So either they won't
Yeah.
attack, but sometimes I don't even play any burst and just keep this in my hand so they can go all out on whatever they're about to do. I'll end the attack step, and now I can, especially if you're playing like a control deck, or if you're playing a heavy core removal purple deck. Now that you have all these things, they assume that you have nothing in your hand because you have no burst. That now you ended the attack step, and now you can counter every single play that they're probably planning on doing. Which I've done that a few times just by playing from my hand. And like I said, you run 4 of them, so you're gonna see at least 2 by turn 7. You ideally should see at least 2, depending on your draw ability. That losing a life here and there is not that big a deal. The one thing that I will want to make sure that you guys understand, and I talked to Eric and Cam about this because I had unfortunately, against an opponent, did not understand the card very well, but it is when the battle ends that's currently happening, you end the attack steps. So,
Yeah.
Eric, do you want me to talk about it now, that little situation, or do you want me to hold off on
Yeah,
that?
actually, yeah, we've we've gone a little over what I thought we would do. So,
Okay, so
but yeah, Why don't you walk us through your like matches a little bit, and if you want to talk about that specific one
okay, I'll get to that
first.
one when I get to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So with this match, so obviously it was 9 rounds of Swiss. Day 1, we only did 7 rounds because it was just extremely hot. It was literally a mental game for every game to save your life because it was so hot. Everybody was drained. So they did it, 7, and we finished the last 2 on Sunday. But to be able to come back for Sunday, you had to, either you had to go X2. If you were X3, you weren't even coming back the next day. So, but
Yeah.
this point, this particular situation I'm going to talk about is actually X1 currently. So I had to, win this match. Oh, sorry, I was X2, so I had to win this because if I went X3, I wouldn't come back. So my last round, it was a mirror match. Your opponent was playing an aggro build of purple. Uh, it was game 3. We both had the same amount of lives. He tried to attack with I forgot what it was. He tried to attack with something. He destroyed my Lancer, which is a cost 4, and I had a Belgor engrave. So I activated Absolute Ice Shield once again from my hand. So that attack went through. Dark Lancer gets destroyed. His spirit's exhausted. I get to summon my Belgor, pop off his monster because it was a cost 4, and then I can attack. He was trying to dispute that because he was under the impression Absolute Ice Shield completely ends the battle. This never happened. And we called the judge. He disagreed with the judge. We called the head judge over, and they all said the same thing. I mean, it clearly states it when this battle ends. So that battle phase, or happen anyways, where it triggers Belgor because it's during that attack step. So please make sure
Yeah.
that guys. I know we get frustrated in close level competition, but it it's important that it's a joke about it, and I think you guys hear it all the time. Those trading card game players, we don't read cards, right? We
Yeah.
really don't sometimes, but it's
Well,
on there.
I mean, yeah, let's talk about the timing. So they swing in with a spirit. They so
I
they
declare block.
you declare block, and at that point you flash in the ice shield
Flash.
from your
Yep.
hand. The ice shield says when this battle ends, end the attack step. So as soon as everything about this battle is resolved, like everything, then the attack step ends. So they kill your Dark Lancer, which then triggers the Beldegor's ability. And bear in mind, we're still in the attack step because the battle has not ended yet. We're now working on this triggered ability. Beldegor comes in, does his thing. Now the attack step is over.
Yep.
So
And that, I mean, that really just that didn't that scenario didn't win me the game, but that was turn 3. So when you go to overtime, it's turn 0, 1, 2, 3. So that was his last turn. So by
yeah,
me doing that, he couldn't swing in anymore from my life. So we went to overtime, or we went into the tiebreakers, which we both had the same life. And once again, this is where having more cards in your deck came in handy.
oh, this
I
guy
won
must have
by
been so
having.
pissed off
Oh,
at you.
he was mad. Like literally, like those of you guys. I think his Twitter is Bean. Most of you guys know who Bean is. He won like one of the online Battle Spirit tournaments where his purple deck. He was one of my. He was sitting next to me, and he like literally talked to me afterwards. Like that guy was. He was screaming. He was mad.
Wait,
Part
so
of he
it
was
wasn't it wasn't the bean guy that did
no,
this.
it
It
wasn't.
was
It was
oh,
not
okay.
Bean. It was somebody else. I won't mention his name, but it was somebody else. But even Bean was like, "My God, that guy was like distracting me because he raised his voice. He was yelling at the judges
Oh
because he didn't
man.
agree with Absolute Ice Shoot. He didn't agree with the card. He didn't agree with the scenario. But it was all legal play, right? And then he got mad that I had more cards in my deck.
Well,
And he was like, "You have how many cards left?" I was like, "I even told him, I was like, you could deck check. Like my list says 55 cards. That's what I have."
yeah.
I was like,
I mean,
so
so yeah, that sucks like to act like that at this event, but also I kind of get it. Like everything you've just described. This game decides who goes to day 2. You're in game 3 of this game. It has been a long, hot, sweaty day
yes,
of
by this point, I think it was like 8:30 at night, and we
oh
started at 8
man.
o'clock in the morning. So it's
So
definitely a
like
long day.
I don't want to defend, the actions here, but I will say like I get it.
Yeah,
And then to
it's
lose to the like
to lose
card
like that. Yeah,
to
yeah,
lose to the card count tiebreaker. I mean
yeah.
that does suck. So like I get it. But I yeah, don't yell at judges though, please, but I get it.
They're there for the job, and it might be something so silly, but I'll tell you this: like, I play some high-level people that are in the Battle Spirits community right now.
uh,
Just to name a few: Vincent Shepard. He played the Blessed Fable build. Ian Ross, which he actually was the one guy that went to finals. Ended up losing against Red against Giuliano
he was
Rex.
playing Fabled, right?
He was playing Fable as well. Yep, he beat me. I actually beat Vincent. Same thing. We went to game 3, overtime. Tiebreaker was more cards in my deck. So I have won
Wait,
more games.
you
Yes.
you beat him on cards and deck.
Yep. Yep. I beat
Wow.
Vincent on cards and deck, and those you guys that know about, like, Vincent's a really, really good player, very good player.
Yeah.
Um, and I played against Emil Mens, which he also went to top. I think it was a top 8 as well, top 16. And my last game that I actually lost, I should have won. Guys, count your cores correctly. I think, exhausted already, and I could, I played against Tim Rivera. Those of you guys that don't know who Tim
Oh,
Rivera is, he won the first grand opening with the Rex guy. So he was
Yeah.
playing the same deck. You know, it's funny when I sit down with him. I was like, "Oh my god, you're Tim." He's like, "Hey, how you doing?" So, and I joked with him. I was like, "Wait, you already got your invite, so just let me have this." He's like, "No, you got to work yourself for it." So it's fine. You know, I was just joking around, but I was expecting him to play something differently. And no, he was playing red again. And game one, completely had it right. He just went wide right away. Doing what red does with Gigano, Rex, and just killed me. So I went, let's go to game two, scoop. So game two, I win because he goes all out on his spirits. I do the bishop Inferno Curse Dragon combo.
Oh,
He says,
nice.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He's like, I don't have no response. Let's go to game three. Cool. So game three takes a little bit longer, right? At this point, we're like probably 8 minutes left in game three before we go into overtime. And I don't know if it was my nerves. I don't know if I was just tired from. I don't know what it was, but I counted my cores 3 times, and I felt like I did not have enough for the Bishop Curse Dragon combo because he had no burst card face down, no cards in hand. He had 3 or 4 spears and 1 Nexus, and his spears all had, including the Rex, only had 1 core on it. Because I forgot what combo he had done where he had to use some of his cores. I think he played like Burning Force or something like that. Um, so if I could have got these guys out, Bishop and the Cursed Dragon, I could have, same thing like game two. Board wipe, go in for life, and win the game. And for some reason, I guess my math wasn't good that day. And I realized this after the fact because he ended up winning, obviously. And he asked me, "Were you about to do the Bishop Cursed Dragon combo again?" I was like, "Yeah, but I didn't have enough cores." And I kind of replayed the whole scenario, and I did have enough cores. I
Oh
just forgot that I could
no.
sack my own spirit, which I know this, I just forgot at the moment. I could just
Yeah.
sacrifice one of my own spirits, and I was like, "Oh my god, I could have won." But honestly, I wasn't too upset about it because at that point, I was already, I think I was already X3 there. So he was just the last match, so I went X4. So it didn't really matter because you really had to be X2 to really kind of top 32. But the end of
Yeah.
day Saturday, when I looked at the pairings, I was top 32. And then, obviously, by the end of the day Sunday, out of 400 people, I ended up 82, which is still a huge accomplishment. Like I said, I played a lot
Yeah.
of big names, a lot of good players. It's not like I was playing a bunch of like. It was a lot of experienced players that have been to other grand openings, or Emil is huge in the Magic gameplay as well. I think he's won a few things with that. So it was
Yeah.
amazing. Like I said, I met a lot of cool people. Cosmic, Aspira, some of these YouTuber guys I
I
met as well
love
there.
I love Cosmic's videos, and he's been doing Shadowverse videos too. So
Yes,
I've been
yes.
watching just like every video he
And
uploads.
look,
I'm
the
like,
same way personality he has on his videos, it's the
yeah,
exact personality he has. But the biggest feedback everybody will give you about the grand opening, I mean, it was just the heat. I mean, that played a
yeah.
huge factor. And you only got a half-hour lunch, which the line to get lunch was horrible, so you
Oh
couldn't really
man,
eat. So there's a couple things that could have
yeah.
been done better. So
I mean, here, really quick, I'm just going to make this statement just because we kind of touched on it earlier when we were talking about like watch your stuff. I think another maybe we could all do like maybe you, me, and Cam could do like some type of video about this at some point. But I think that prepping for a big event, it's more than just like picking your deck and play testing and showing up. Like you need to pack. Especially me as I'm getting older, I've noticed I need to pack really efficiently. Like, I need to make sure I have plenty of water. I need to make sure I have like something as a snack, just
yeah,
something. It doesn't matter what it is. You want to make sure you have some Advil because if you
yep,
get a headache, you need to take care of that like ASAP, or you're not going to play very well. And I like to bring like a little rag, like a little sweat rag or something.
yeah.
Just to like wipe
Yeah,
myself
just
off with,
wrap it
or
up. Look, I
yeah.
call it the my wife jokes with me. I call it the Yu-Gi-Oh emergency kit. So my bag always has a spray of deodorant,
Yep.
have like
I
you
wish
said a
more
little bit
people would
of
bring that.
yeah, I'll give mine away if you need to. A little bit of snack, definitely water because if you don't keep yourself hydrated, at least headaches. And guys, you guys are playing a game like this at an intense level where sometimes other intense players or very good players, you cannot function with a migraine or a headache. There's no way. I mean, those of you guys have had migraines, you know what I'm talking about. Like it's hard to focus on the game. You're
Yep.
kind of getting irritated. So definitely, like you said, a leaf, some kind of Tylenol, a rag. I'm not to think that because that would have came very handy. I just kept going to the bathroom. I just kept like washing my face with cold water. It's
Yeah.
just like, but definitely, you said preparing for a tournament, especially like huge events like this. A lot. This goes, and a lot of us stay up late. I know I did it myself, so I'm guilty of it. But try to get a good night's sleep because it's like for a test, you have to be mentally ready, prepared, try to have a good breakfast. But I get it. A lot of us stay up till midnight trying to, or 11:59 before we submit a deck list to try
Yeah.
to do that. And that's
So-
one thing that upset a lot of players, right? Which they gotta get better at. They got a lot of feedback about it. So the people that organized the event didn't account for Ohio's time change. So, like last minute, it
oh.
tweeted the start time for the tournament had completely changed to an hour earlier, and
Oh
the deck
no.
submission as well. So that threw up a lot of players. So a lot of
Yeah.
people were freaking out, like, "Whoa, what the hell?" Blah blah blah. So it was a little bit frustrating. It was crazy to think that the second grand opening. You would have thought that it'd be a little bit more organized. There's definitely things that they could do better. I'm glad they sent out a survey just asking what could do. We all said the same thing: either a better venue location or making sure that that place is ventilated. Like it'd be
Yeah.
different with just the Battle Spirit players, 400 people. It'll still be hot, but it's controllable. When you have a whole nother tournament like One Piece that brought another 4 or 8 or 500 people, you have 1,000 people in a unventilated building.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's almost
I
like
mean, that's
it's not
also
fun.
it's a safety hazard too. Like people could pass
Heat
out,
strokes.
heat
Yeah, have a
strokes.
heat
Yeah.
stroke or something. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about June. If it was like fall, whatever, it's just be very
Yeah.
cold. You can
Yeah.
bundle up. It's easier to get warm than it is to get cold. Unless you're gonna have a
Yeah.
bunch of naked players. So it's just like,
Oh man. Um, really quick before we move on to our next segment here, anything you want to talk about from your sideboard? I see some extra
um,
suppression, some extra burning
yeah.
force.
So from my sideboard, I will say this. Maybe just because I was towards the end of the night, because I stayed up pretty late trying to build this deck. The Mechlord Durham Dyna, I honestly, if you ask me today, why did you even play him on your side? I don't know. I think he just looked cool. I really think I don't really need anything because
He was there for moral support.
he was there for more support for Axe
Yeah.
Spider because I never played him. I never even signed him in. And honestly, when I read him again, it, I don't play. I only play the 4 copies of Deaths and the one Mothership, right? So it's not like I would have 5 Nexuses out at one time to even use his effect. To really for the White Spirits, right? My only White Spirit would have been himself and Axe Spider. So I think I just played them. I don't think I was thinking correctly. Maduke came in handy in one of the mirror matches because of all the curse. That's where the only time I really used the curse ability for it. Angelic Pressure. Uh, I was just using it once again. Destroy little spares if I'm playing against yellow or red. But I never saw it, and it's expensive, so I probably won't play that again.
Yeah.
Court Death, which just it's just there in case I needed it. I probably honestly would have played 2 of that, and then replaced the Derm Dino or the Angelic Pressure. Um, Dream Blizzard, I never saw. It was just once again, I was just trying to think of Nexus removal if I needed
I think
suppression.
that I think that Dream Blizzard is an overlooked card. I think that Dream Blizzard is actually really good. It's just it sucks that it affects you as well, but I
Yeah,
still think it's really good. I think if you especially if you happen to like Cam doesn't really like Nexuses. And so if he built a deck with no Nexuses, like this should probably go in there, you know? Um, I unfortunately am addicted to Volcanic Canyon draws in almost every deck I build, so
mm.
probably not for
Well,
me, but I think this card is really good.
and it is. I mean, I just never saw like for me. I looked at it this way, right? If the only thing I would be worried about with this would be against yellow or red, which I already had the Furl Slash and the Dream Bombs, right? The
Hmm.
only time I could see this being useful and not really, because like you said, it hurts me as well, is if I'm playing the mirror match when we both got depths out. All I'm doing is just resetting the board for one turn. So I just for what it was, at least in this deck build, I didn't really see a need for it. And in suppressions, like I said, it's just more extra power if I needed it, and of course, burning force if I need to go a little bit more heavy on Nexus removal. So
Yeah.
yeah. If I on my side, I would definitely take out Dinah, Angelic Pressure for sure. Maybe add 1 or 2 more to Core Theft, and then I'm not sure what else I would add. I mean, set 2 would change this around, obviously, but there was
Yeah.
nothing else I really felt like I needed. I already have the splash of Dream Bomb, the suppressions, stuff that people usually play on their side. So maybe one more Baduk. Who knows?
Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah, I'm excited to see what changes you make for set 2 with this deck. I played against this deck, not in this final form, but in some of its forms leading up to the event quite a few times, and it was a lot of fun to play against. So excited to see what changes you make with set 2. And I'm going to go ahead and try and work with Cam to make sure that we get your deck list in the show notes so that way people can check it out if they want to take a look.
Yeah,
Maybe they can
absolutely.
pull it open. They can pull it open and look at the cards while they listen to the podcast. But we have gone quite a bit over. So originally, I was planning for us to do our top 3 favorite cards from the new set. But I think why don't we just do our number one? We're doing purple specifically. So why don't we do like our number 1 favorite card from the new set and why? Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Cool.
You want me to kick it off, or you want to kick it off?
Maybe all. No, you know what? You go first. You go first. What's your like out of all of the purple cards that we've had spoiled for False Gods? What is your number 1 pick? And then go ahead and read it off for us. Tell us what it does, and then we can talk about why.
Sure. So my number 1 pick, and I don't know if it's gonna be yours or not, but it's Reanimate. Uh,
Ooh.
and I'm talking about Reanimate in the special rare form or the regular version. So it is a 5 cost, 3 reduction. It's a magic card. Has a burst effect. When opponent resolves its spirits, when summon effect, discard the top 3 cards of your deck and return 1 purple spirit card from them to your hand. You may then pay this card's cost to activate its main effect. The main effect is select a spirit card in your trash that costs 5 or fewer and summon it without paying its cost. So, this card, if you guys have not seen it, please go look at it. I mean, like I said, if you look at the regular version, straight out of an anime manga. If you look at the SPR, same thing. It looks so cool, so badass with the graphics and the artwork. That's one thing I would say about set 2. A lot of the artwork for some of these cards, they've almost like stepped it up a notch, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
the art in this set looks
and this,
amazing.
yeah, and this is not even talking about Gundam because that could be a whole nother
Oh
subject for
yeah,
another bunch of hours. We could talk about Gundams, but the
yeah,
reason I like this card is it kind of goes back into set 2. You notice a lot of immortals coming out, so it's almost like you want to send things to your graveyard
yep.
to be able to use that immortal ability. You know,
And
and
there's
we
some
can talk about it.
undead. There's some undead stuff going on
Yeah,
too.
there's a lot of undead, a lot of little tricky things you can do now from the graveyard. You know, it's almost like everybody else is getting tokens and Purple's getting like little graveyard shenanigans. So I think this card's really good. Granted, I have to see how it mixes in with other things and how people build it, but the fact that you can basically summon a cost 5 or fewer spirit for free without paying its cost. I mean, you have to have the 1 core obviously to keep them on board. That's huge. I mean, that is extremely huge. That could be a make it or break it depending on what your board state looks like or what your end goal strategy is. So I think this card's really good. I mean, not to mention its burst effect. And then people say, oh well, when summon. So when summon was not very valuable in set 1, but set 2. I mean, green, yellow, I think even
Yep.
purple. There's a lot of one summon effects. So Star Blast draws, any of these cards that have one summon effects are gonna extremely go up as far as playing and some of the artwork for SPR, the SPRs might go up in value based on people playing them. So that would be my favorite though. Reanimate for sure. It takes the cake for me.
Yeah, I this is definitely up there for me. It's not my number 1, but it was in my top 3. And I totally agree. I mean, you and I have both played a lot of card games, and anytime you have a recursion effect in a card game, uh, powerful. Like any card game I've ever played that allows you to pull stuff out of your trash, um, usually a pretty playable card, and this allows you to pick 2 of them. Like one of them you get to add to your hand, and then the other one you get to just play. So uh, super powerful effect. One thing to note, just because I think like we talked about, card game players don't read the cards. Um, the first effect says discard the top 3 cards of your deck and return 1 purple spirit card from them to your hand. So it's not out of your whole trash. It's out of just the 3 that you discarded. So just
Yep.
something to keep in mind. But
And I mean, like I said, reading about that, you guys can combo that off though, right? Like,
yeah,
if there's something from those 3 that you saw that you want to play, then don't put that to your hand. I mean, literally, put it on the trash as long as it's a cost 5 or fewer, and then you
yeah,
can summon it. Like, you're basically gaining 1 to your hand, and then you're summoning at the same time. So please, yeah, that's a good point.
yeah. Super solid card though. I think it's going to see play outside of purple as well. I think people will pay 5 for this.
Oh yeah, I could only imagine that. That's a very good splash card to put in.
Yeah. All right, you ready for my pick?
Let's hear it. Drum roll. What is
Uh,
it?
so my pick is similar in a way, but a little bit different. And I'm actually kind of between two cards, but I think I got to go with my gut here and pick a card that I've already talked about on the podcast before. But I've just been building decks with this thing like crazy, and it is Impaler Forest. It's a
Mm,
Nexus, purple Nexus. So
okay.
Impaler Forest is a 4 cost 2 reduction purple Nexus. Uh, level 1 and level 2 for 0 cores at level 1 and 3 cores at level 2. During your attack step, when you destroy one of your spirits with one of your effects, your opponent selects one of their spirits, remove a core from it, and place it into the reserve. That effect is not really the reason I'm playing this card. It's kind of like icing on top of the cake. Maybe this goes off every now and then, maybe it doesn't. The reason I'm so excited about this card is during opponent's end step. At the start of the step, you may discard the top card of your deck. If you do, select a spirit card in your trash and return it to the top of your deck. So this allows you to pick what you draw, and it could be anything. It doesn't have to be purple, it just has to be a spirit. So I've been playing this. There's that luster like OTK combo with Caduceus, I think is his name,
Oh, yeah.
Doctor Duck, and Michaela. And so I've been trying to build basically any decks where you can do combos. I think you can slot this in, and it could help you get your combo to go off. So that's why I'm so excited about this card. On top of that, we talked about the Baculus and Curse Dragon combo earlier. If you have Baculus or Curse Dragon in your hand, but you're missing the other piece of the puzzle, but you have it in your trash, you just stick it on top of your deck.
Yeah. That's yeah, I think that's really good actually. I didn't think of that. So
Yeah. It's I think that this card I just can't help I'm just so excited to build with this card because I just feel like there's some sort of secret there's something to it. Like I feel like if I can just figure out what the combo is that this really enables, I could just make some crazy combo deck. And that just really gets me excited to build decks. So
well, it's almost like you're foreshadowing. I mean, you're gonna know what your next card is, right? So, like, for my favorite card, you can kind of play into reanimate depending on what you're trying to do because you know at least one of your three cards was gonna be,
yeah.
and like I said, this set looks like a lot of shenanigans for purple from grave to hand, from deck to grave. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the meta to change a little bit and just add a bunch of viable decks to other players, because we have green, so.
Yeah. We gotta get some games in with the set two cards because Cam and I have been playing so many games with the set two cards and it's so much fun. I'm excited for you to try them out, and I'm
Yeah, I
really
need to
interested to
actually because
really
yeah, I
interested to
want to
see
play
what you do
against
with
you.
purple.
Yeah, no,
So
I do. That's a good point. I really need to do that because the next Grand Open that's right around the corner in August. And set two comes out in what 2 weeks right now, about the 28th. So
yep, right
it's
about
right
two
around
weeks
the
away.
corner. So yeah, definitely. Yeah, we need to get together and
Yeah.
throw some
So
games.
last thing to mention here before we sign off, you and I and Cam are all going to Gen Con in
Yep.
August. And we're going to be playing some Battle Spirits events. Unfortunately, I can only play in the one on Sunday, but I believe you're playing at all of them, right?
Yeah, I'll be there from the Thursday, starting Thursday morning, all the way to the Sunday in the day. I actually extended the day just to play it. And those of you guys that, if you planning on going and weren't sure, please go. One, it's gonna be awesome, but two, I don't know if you guys saw the promo that's gonna be handed out. It looks amazing. It is badass.
Yeah, looks sick. Yeah, the tricky part with this though is set 2 is going to be legal for Gen Con and it comes out the weekend before Gen Con. So I don't know about you, but I'm a little stressed about getting the cards that I need for my decks because I've been playtesting with set 2 cards, but I just don't know if I'm going to have them for the event.
Yeah. That's a good point too. Actually, I said grand opening. I probably we really do need to get together, start play testing because depending on what we play test, like you said, that's kind of what happened with Set Wonder, right? By the time it released, I think the next event was the following weekend, and you don't know what you're gonna pull, even if you bought booster boxes, you know. So it's kind of hard. So I might lean to look into Gen Con, maybe splashing some of the uncommons or commons in this set with Set One. That way, at least I know for a fact I'll at least have them.
Yeah,
Because I'm worried about the X rares and especially with the Gundam collab, right? I don't know how many slots that takes or what the chances are of pulling what now is going to be compared to set one.
yeah,
So that's a good point. That's a good point. But it'd be a good testing environment for before the grand opening for sure.
yeah. And I'll be playing at the Grand Open, I think, with you in September, right? At
September, yep, it'll be Tulsa,
Tulsa.
Oklahoma.
That'll be
So that's gonna be
fun.
fun. It's gonna be fun, man.
And we
And,
have
you
a
know,
lot of playtesting in our future.
yes, a lot of play tests, a lot of preparing to do, and I have a feeling Tulsa is gonna be like what Ohio was, right? So the first grand opening in August might not be that big because that's still new. Meta's not gonna be, meta's gonna be undefined. But then by September, all right, this is all established. It's gonna be high, grindy, competitive, which I like. As long as the initially it's gonna be at an expo center. No,
Yeah.
sorry, at a convention center. So it should be AC and climate. I looked up at pictures of it, and it looks a lot better than what I was in Ohio. So
Okay.
those of you guys that
Nice.
can make it, go over there.
That's good. That's good to know. Awesome. Well, thanks for being on, Angel. We'll definitely have you on again at some point. And maybe you'll make some guest appearances in our little gameplay videos as well as we're play testing. I don't know if you want that. Maybe you want to keep your tech kind of secret. I don't know. Maybe you'll just play meme decks whenever you're playing against us for the
Nah,
videos. But
hey, I'm down for whatever. It ain't nothing. Maybe when we get closer to the grand opening, maybe I'll keep my tech like a little bit secret. But no,
yeah,
just once again, thank you guys for having me. I mean, I know Cam couldn't make this one, but definitely appreciate you guys and the invite. And I'm always down to sit here. And as you can tell, we went a little bit over, but hey, I love Battle Spirits. I can talk about card games, and you guys are always fun, and we can talk for hours. So I'm
yeah,
excited.
yeah.
So anytime you guys want me, just let me know, and I'll hop on for sure.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for listening to another episode of Absolute BSS. You can find Absolute BSS on Twitter at Absolute BSS Pod. We're also, feel free to email us if you want to talk to us directly at absolutebsspod@gmail.com. You can also respond to, I believe there's going to be some polls or something. Cam always does something fun with these whenever he uploads them. And you can also comment on the YouTube video. We're at Absolute BSS Pod on YouTube as well. So feel free to leave a comment. Please subscribe if you want to stay in the loop. Watch some gameplay videos as we are play testing set 2. We'll definitely have some up for you. And yep. Thanks for watching, and thanks for joining, Angel. And see you guys later. Bye.
See ya. Thank ya. Bye.